Welcome back, everyone.
Sorry.
Hugo, do you want to present our
So the last panel for today, but not the least, the conversation continues online for sure. On panel 4, without further ado, because we have also people joining us online, Carol Palombini, if I got that right, will be the moderator. She's an executive coach and psychologist in the tech industry, and she will be moderating the debate for today. So, enjoy.
Thank you. We'll just share a small announcement.
Well, we have reached the fourth and the last panel of the Q-Day. A panel that invites us to look at the future of the labor market, the future of entrepreneurship, and the future of innovation within companies, which in our view will be populated by the so-called digital genius. Have you ever thought of all those groups of people within every organization creating spreadsheets with complicated formulas, not only for themselves, but also for their teammates to use? Or about those who assume greater strategic responsibilities and feel helpless when faced with the following situations. Well, I have dozens of projects on hold. Everything takes too long to develop. I have excellent people, but they are not programmers. I'm short of 100 programmers. Making someone a digital producer, not just a user or operator, would require years of learning. And now, think that your organization and your people could be the solution to the huge shortage of digital producers worldwide. How so? Citizen developers and business technologists are people who came from business, not IT, and who are as proficient as IT people at creating software. At Quigist, we make this reality possible by enabling business technologists to do with genius modeling and artificial intelligence much more than with other development technologies, including low-code and RPA. Be part of this new generation of internal innovators empowered to create digital solutions with the help of Quigist Global Partner Network. Benefit from a week of Genio training anywhere in the world. We also invite you to take a look at the Genio Global Calendar, training for the next 3 months. Explore the calendar, find out what type of Genio you are, and register for Genio training on the Quigist website. My name is Ekaterina Starovoitenko, International Bid Consultant at Quigist, and I will be available to answer all your questions. Just find me at Q-Day or on LinkedIn. Thank you, good panel, and see you soon.
Hi, everyone. So as they say, I'm a psychologist and coach, and I work with tech leaders and CEOs in the tech industry. And I'd like to thank Jess for the invitation to moderate. And I know that we are going to have here 4 great panelists giving very different perspectives regarding innovation from within. And the purpose here is not only to understand how this can happen, but how leaders can do this. I brought here some information about Deloitte's survey. It was a Deloitte innovation study from last year. And it says that 80% of CIOs and tech leaders say they are driving their company's innovation efforts, but only half of the innovation efforts are achieving their desired results. During my experiences with these leaders, I understand that they have a very hard time understanding their roles, what they actually are supposed to do and actually responsible to doing, and I don't see they having this biggest concern about fostering innovation from within. First of all, I think there's a problem of actually being a new role, especially the CTO is a new role. And another thing that I notice is that the CIOs, they know how to do things. They have been innovating for their whole lives, but they actually have a hard time leading people towards innovation, translating that attitude into teachable skills. So we have here 4 panelists, and I'm going to start calling here today Chackib Rifi. I hope I said it right. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Please, Chackib, correct me if I'm wrong. He is the founder of SGPP Europe, and actually he's an expert in disruptive digital transformation. So Chackib, welcome, and you have the floor.
Okay. Hi, Carol. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me for this great event, and congratulations for Kuija's team for all this preparation. And I would love to be with you, but unfortunately, due to the air traffic controller strike in France, I couldn't get my flight. But anyways, thanks to technology, we're all here. This title really, innovation from within, is something that we don't think really about it every day, but once I got this as a title of this this conference, it's make me really thinking about it and thinking about the role of the CEOs and also for the CTOs today in this transformation going too fast on the last decades. So yeah, today the IT people are here for help. You know, to help their behavior, to help their, to help their environment, and to propose solutions to their environment. Sometimes they could listen to them. Sometimes politics and government are too busy, you know, to doing what they are doing what they can do every day. And when they don't listen to us, unfortunately, we see what this picture is showing to us. For the summary today, I'll be talking about the jobs at risk. Okay, because technology, okay, but there are some risks for some job, so we have to be aware about it. We should talk about disruption, touching on almost all the sectors, and seeing what happened in our sector, in digital sectors. Here we can see the 3 revolutions. Till now, all was based on only on one form of energy. The first industrial revolution used the energy of water and steam to mechanize production. Within secondary used electrical engineering to increase mass production. And the third, use nuclear energy, electronics and information technology to optimize production. Today we're at the 4th resolution. Is it physical? Is it data? Is it digital? Is it biological technologies? Is it meta? What happened today with the metaverse? What is next? We'll be discovering. Today, what you can see all together in all the sectors, robots are taken over. It's not anymore X-File movies, but it's reality that we are living every day. America, we all know the GAFAM, and we all know also their children, which is Netflix, Airbnb, Tesla, and Uber, what you call today NATO. What happened in Asia, in China, we have the Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, Xiaomi. All these companies, or more of them, all of them are start the last 20 years. And today they are jumping and moving not only in Asia, but all over the world. So something is happening. So this coming multinationals and all what can see today are taking some jobs at risk. Jobs with repetitive tasks are risky. We can see the automatic ECRs, automatic ECR that you can find today in some Amazon shopping center today, some Amazon shopping center in United States. We don't have anyone working there. The handlers are replaced by robots today. And banking and insurance. We know that the number of banking and insurance employees has fallen by 39% in the last 30 years. And the trades would disappear completely between 2038 and 2051. Health sector. Okay, we know that IA cannot replace doctors. We hope so. But it can play an important role in research, diagnosis, or even treatment. However, today radiologists are in risk because IA established analysis much more reliable from medical imaging and in record time. Legal. Many IA programs have been developed in recent years to facilitate the work of lawyers and judges. This is the mission, for example, of the COIN. This is a contract intelligence program developed by JP Morgan. This software allows the analysis of commercial and IOA agreement and will replace an average of 360,000 hours of work per year. So young graduates who previously assist expert lawyers and who took care of time-consuming research may no longer have their place in a few years. We know what happened about Watson in the United States, developed by IBM. Tax inspectors. Yes, we can say, wow, but I prefer human tax inspector than robot tax inspectors, frankly speaking. This is between brackets. The trading. The trading today at Wall Street, 3,000 trading positions have already been cut in 4 years. 3,000 trading positions, it's a huge number. High frequency and algorithmic trading carried out by the power of the machine. Today, makes it possible to carry out 80% of global transactions on a daily basis. What happened in our sector? So, our profession will evolve significantly in the coming years. So many tasks, yes, of course, task automation is something that we are working deeply on that, and many tasks can be automated and part of the code can be taken over by robots. But that code not prevents it from always requiring a human developer to control the work carried out, but also to carry out the programming of the robots in question. So we should be quiet at this stage. Disruptive innovation. The market is becoming more disruptive and changing so rapidly that all the actors, we can find Google in medical and Meta in almost everything, are already here. The manager role is not only managing the team, but knowing the market and knowing how the market is disruptive is the new role of the manager. And also involving the employees in this rapid and continuous changing. So when you look at digital sector, we see that our university programs, I'm talking about French case, but also Moroccan case, because I'm in between these two countries. So our university programs are far away from the market demands. Even after all the effort done by the professors and all the effort done by the universities, but they are too heavy to change as rapidly as the market is changing today. So digital actors today are, our university programs are far away from the market demand, as I said. And not everyone must be a seasoned developer, but everyone needs to know how to code. The digital actors, who we are suffering from the scarcity of skilled labor. And I come back to Genio, the tool that I love that much. A tool like this, Genio, is one of the rare solutions to these situations, offering the university and the digital actors the bridge to help each other to grow up in the right way. We talk about digital sovereignty of the countries. Everyone is talking about this. Is it strong telecom operators? Is it strong data centers? Last decades or the last 2 decades, everyone is running to building up data centers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 today. But is it enough? Strong e-government. We all heard about e-government, about smart city concept as well, with the smart health, smart education, smart tourism, smart security, smart transportation, and all. But is it enough today? I think we should build up smart, convenient, smart people more than smart concepts. A digital society with a coding nation, able to meet the challenges, the internal challenges. This is innovation from within, the internet challenges, and use the digital for the human daily well-being. Yes, of course, using technology every day is good. Everyone is using technology, even if my children have 8 years old, using his smartphone every day. It's using technology, but it's not enough. Coding shouldn't be a lux or exclusive for developers. Today, it should be affordable for everyone. So innovation from within, as I can see it, to each society deserves to develop its own solutions for its own challenges. Coordination is not a choice anymore. It's a must-have. Nationalization of the know-how, how we can build up this know-how, how we can respond to the challenge internally in our area, in our region, in our country, in our, all the countries around. If we're talking France or Portugal, yeah, maybe you have some challenges in Portugal, you have some other challenges in France, but you have some challenges in Europe that you can afford with technologies altogether. And let's build up more partnerships, more bridge, and less dependencies. Today, we can say that we are lucky to be part of this adventure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chackib, for your valuable insights about how to democratize the coding to everyone. That's actually something very new for me, and I learned a lot. And now we have George Polisner. So George is founder of Civic Works, and he's expert in building high-performance teams, and also an expertise in corporate social responsibility, behavior, and externalities.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to walk up to the podium because that'll make me look thinner if I stand behind the podium.
So I'm going to turn this way.
So I'm going to go through the presentation fairly quickly. I know we're the last panel standing, but I wanted to impart some of the lessons that I've learned over the course of a very long technology career. And anybody that spent as much time in technology as I have reveals themselves to be a very bad investor, because most people just spend the first 20 years and then are out of it. But anyways, fear and loathing and Notes from the Field is the title of the presentation. And if you don't remember anything else from this presentation, the things to remember, the key points I've learned are that fear within a culture, an enterprise culture, is probably the biggest constraint upon innovation. Fear, territorialism, and other things that typically exist within large enterprises. Whereas accessibility and leadership, courageous leadership, and a good mission, or at least the articulation of a good mission, can really rally people around innovation and innovative concepts. So what I've noticed and what I'll show in some of the brief case studies ahead, there are economic drivers for innovation in terms of driving additional profit, new avenues for monetization, efficacy, controlling costs, adding value to society. It requires a systems view of the world instead of necessarily a narrow view of a particular product. As a matter of fact, with thanks to Pedro and the folks at Quidgest who invited me here, the thought about ecosystems thinking is a very important concept as opposed to just narrow focused on a particular product. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. Leadership and vision is incredibly important. I've found through the course of my career, there is a vast difference. And raise your hand if all of you have experienced different cultures, different management styles. I've noticed in the course of my career a vast difference between people that lead and people that manage. And people that lead, I have found, can express a vision. They can rally people around a particular mission or business objective and get people moving in the same direction. Whereas managers who may typically tell you, oh, it's 8 o'clock and you weren't at your desk, where were you? And other management behaviors tend to really constrain productivity and leadership. They actually, I think, have an antithetical role in terms of driving an organization. And I'm interested in Carol's perspective on that too. And another driver of innovation is subversion among employees. Groups of people that look at how a business is functioning and say, you know, there is a better way to do this. And have the accessibility to leadership to get the resources behind them to effectively take a risk and drive innovation within an enterprise. And a business that isn't afraid to fail. Basically being able to do pragmatic risk mitigation and take chances. The roadblocks, again, what I've discovered over the course of my career, fear is absolutely toxic to driving innovation within an organization. Poor leadership is another area. Inadequate resourcing. So if people are already working 50 hours a week trying to get something done, they're not going to be necessarily receptive to the corporate suggestion box. They're going to be more receptive to offers coming in from LinkedIn and other sources. And a poor hierarchy. And so a lack of accessibility to leadership is another area that can constrain the ability to drive innovation within an enterprise. So cost is a driver. Very, very early in my career, I was a 24-year-old working at the Rocketdyne division of Rockwell International, where they produced the space shuttle main engines. There was an information systems effort going on that cost $150,000 in US dollars to support 10 PC workstations. So this was 1984. It isn't now, where PCs are commodities. And I was a lowly lone wolf out in the human resources area of Rocketdyne. We needed to serve the human resources function, which included compensation and benefits and health and safety and job placement and all of the other functions you would typically see in enterprise human resources. And I proposed bringing in a Unix system at the time in which we were able to serve 3 times the amount of people, 3 times the amount of staff for 1/5 of the cost. And so it was an early lesson to me in my career. Management could have easily said, no, this is not how we're going to drive systems or structure systems at Rocketdyne. They were able to understand the potential return on investment and take a small economic risk, which yielded great success and brought in the very first of many Unix systems to the division. Another comment, and Luisa, from your presentation, when you said desperation is not innovation, sometimes it is. And so I was working on a very large project for the state of Arizona back in the late 1980s. Ernst & Young at the time was implementing a statewide system that required data to be propagated across the state, distributed systems across the state. The data had to be propagated, it had to be normalized, and then it had to be returned out to these satellite healthcare centers in order to serve the people for the state of Arizona. And there was an interesting impediment to being able to drive success in this project that existed. The state of Arizona said you cannot use any technology that our staff wouldn't understand how to operate. And so at the time, the state staff had no understanding of third-generation computer languages, which included the C programming language, which was actually necessary to meet the performance characteristics and requirements of the project. And so I didn't know it. I guess I was a very early employee of Quidgest because what we did was we developed and implemented self-generating code, which was accepted by the state because they didn't have to maintain it. Anytime that there was a change in the data structures, they were able to effectively change the code and propagate new code out across the entire network to have a successful data exchange and meet the performance requirements of the project. And so this was a case where, and this happens in many large projects, I'm sure folks here know from a business technology standpoint. The marketing and sales team comes in and sells the massive $30 million, $40 million project, and then the technologists come in and try to figure out how the heck we're going to make this work. And how we're going to do it in such a way that there's profit for usually the vendors that are involved in the project. And so this was just an example of desperation leading to innovation in terms of what we did on the project. And this was beyond desperation, this was fear of legal exposure, so very, very desperate situation. In 1993 at TV Guide magazine, back in the days in which we didn't stream everything we wanted to watch from Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or any of the services, we were kind of guided by, oh, at 8 p.m. our show is going to be on, or at 6 p.m. the news is going to be on, we have to tune to channel 2. And so TV Guide was a mechanism that we used, and this is, I'm probably talking more like an archaeologist or an anthropologist, because this is very, very early in world history. But people had to consult the guide to figure out when my show is on. And so the TV Guide magazine itself was a very interesting publication in the respect that your time and channel information for people that bought the TV Guide was different in every geography. You had different time zones, you had different stations. In Los Angeles, it might be one set of programming. In Lisbon, it might be another set of programming, certainly at different times. And so TV Guide was producing 200 different magazines on a weekly basis and distributing those out to millions of people. And so it was a very, very interesting project. And the vendor involved, Intergraph, located out of Huntsville, Alabama, sold an architecture that simply would not have worked. They sold an architecture, a database, custom database publishing system that simply did not have the performance capabilities to meet the weekly demand of TV Guide. And so the technical team got together and using database magic, location transparency, we were able to produce a system that could effectively meet the needs of TV Guide. And of course, lawyers were disappointed because they didn't get to litigate the project. Streamlining is a driver to the business. At Oracle in the early 2000s, I don't know if people here have had an opportunity to work on large enterprise systems, ERP systems. Some of you, I'm sure, have. The system configuration and installation of Oracle's products around 2000 were very, very complicated and would typically take 2 to 3 weeks for a consultant to come on site and prepare the on-premise hardware, the operating system, install the database, and install all of the code necessary to support accounting systems, enterprise resource systems, manufacturing, human resources, financial accounting, and so on. And that work all was required before the functional consultants could come on site and set up things like the chart of accounts and the currency that the business was functioning in, and a lot of other things. So it created an internal scheduling problem for Oracle because you had teams of functional consultants that couldn't work until the technical consultant was done with the installation and configuration. And so we proposed, and the Oracle organization got behind the proposal. This was an example where Oracle was very, very good about, and I was fortunate, I had good leadership. They were very, very open about driving innovation and entrepreneurism internally at Oracle. And so we worked with the leading hardware vendors, hardware platforms, and would pre-install the Oracle database and the Oracle applications, do all of the patching, and burn an image that could then just go to the customer site and be installed within a day. So it was an example of how streamlining can be a driver for innovation.
George.
Oh, I gotta wrap it up.
Wrap up.
So anyways, these were all examples. Subversion is a driver. There was an Oracle project for quality assurance and testing that we needed to work on, and we used a lot of Oracle technology to create an automated way to do software quality testing at Oracle and to document those tests. And then finally, over the last several years, public good has been a very important driver for the work that I've done. Back in 2005, I worked on a portal to drive demand affinity to companies that are evolving to do less harm and promote economic activism as a way to empower citizens economically. And presently, I'm at work and working on organizing the capital necessary to hire program staff here in Lisbon to, if you think of a confluence of good Facebook, if there is such a thing, and Netflix for democracy, we're working on ways to strengthen citizen participation in governance and empower citizens through civic action and economic action. And so a last summary before we conclude. A great example that I've seen in terms of leadership and vision is the SVP of engineering at a very large company that in Silicon Valley presented a perspective that when it comes to operational processes, they would rather hire developers because they recognize developers are somewhat lazy. I disagree. I work with a lot of developers. But this was their opinion. And they said they're lazy and they'll build automation to do repetitive, manual, error-prone tasks. Whereas another vice president with a different perspective said, the error rate's low, our customers are happy, I'll just hire more people to do the manual tasks. And so what I've found is, anytime you have an opportunity to innovate through automation, again, probably lending some support to the great work at Quidgest, it's a very, very important win for actually getting things done at scale and consistently. So innovation and leadership, creating a culture of innovation, focus on a vision, inspire and lead versus manage, demand excellent outcomes, trust is important, and fear is the enemy. And I will stop right there. So, obrigado. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. Loved your insights. We were previously talking about the functional consultant, and I think that's going to be a topic for the debate later. So now we have Alberto Carvalho, who is with us online. Alberto is in the education sector for many years, his whole life in this sector, and now he serves on the National Assessment Governing Board. Welcome, Alberto, and you have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Bom dia. Boa tarde.
Bom dia. Boa tarde.
Coming to you from Los Angeles, California, literally 8 hours away from where Portugal sits today. What I'm bringing to you today over the next 10 minutes is not a prophecy from a technological perspective. It is not a conversation about tools. It is a conversation about a new universal environment that our students and teachers need, not only in the US and Portugal, but across the world. If we learned anything from the pandemic, 2.5 years, a very difficult time, is that wrapped around a crisis, there's always an opportunity. And what we have seen as a result of that pandemic is that opportunities were leveraged, quite frankly, creating a cataclysmic tectonic shift in terms of technology, use of technology, the ability of teachers and educators and students and parents in managing new educational spaces that were brought to them virtually. Organically, this would have taken probably decades, but districts, states, and nations were thrusted into this new demand as a result of that crisis. But before anything else, who is Los Angeles Unified, where I am the general superintendent? Number one, we are the second largest school system in America. We cover 31 different cities. We have over 1,400 schools serving close to 600,000 students, a budget of $22 billion, and about 1.5 million tech users if you look at the employees, the students, and their parents. In addition to that, we have made terrific efforts in terms of connecting students and families. The digitally disconnected today will be the economically disadvantaged tomorrow. We recognized that before the pandemic, certainly during the pandemic, in the early months across America and across the world, students went without learning because of the lack of connectivity. That is why, over the past couple of years alone, we have made massive investments in technology. Number one, distributing in excess of 210,000 devices into the hands of students for them to take home, with a second device at school. Establishing over 250,000 connections via Wi-Fi connectivity, hardwired, but also hotspots. About an $84 million investment in devices, and an annual $52 million investment to keep kids and their families connected at home. In essence, we are not only closing the digital divide, we have erased the digital divide, and in the process ushered a new reality for learning across Los Angeles. And what has that created? Number one, we have exploded choice in this district with thematic virtual academy schools with the newest and greatest technology. Computer coding as a universal guarantee to every student. So now they learn Spanish, they learn French, they learn Korean, Japanese, Portuguese, Arabic, but also computer language as a guarantee. This ushers in individualized and adaptive learning, where the recalibration of learning on the basis of progress monitoring tools that are adaptive, individualized, and real-time, that provide information to the teachers as they are teaching, allowing teachers to recalibrate the learning experience. This has brought about immersive learning experiences through augmented reality. There's nothing like seeing little kids and high school kids with goggles on their faces, experiencing biology, anatomy, physiology, listening to living history going back 5,000 years through the recreation of an experience. Obviously, before and after school programs with digital virtual tutoring, now that students can learn anytime, anywhere. A whole host of digital applications from big-time developers such as Discovery and Schoology, and obviously collaboration with industry partners. And in Los Angeles, partners are big. Just last week, I met with will.i.am and the Black Eyed Peas to have them support 80 new robotics and computer science academies with the installation of equipment. This is the city of creativity. In terms of technological impact in the environment, it's not just the teaching and learning, it's also the backup of information. The Ready, Set, Go dashboards of critical academic performance, attendance indicators for students and teachers alike. So we have stood up dashboards that allow us real time to have our eyes on performance of a single student, a school, a district across Los Angeles Unified. This is an example of the power of technology. Obviously, as is often known, no amount of qualitative data ever leads to significant marketing decisions. The same is true for education. So we are a quantitative-driven district using data as our superpower to elevate the quality and the performance of teaching and learning, to make up for the lost time and the lost learning that our students across LA and across the world, in fact, lost during the pandemic. So where are we today? Today, LA Unified is a district of technology. Not technology as a tool, but technology as a guarantee, an environmental guarantee for every single student. It is one that the students empowered with tools, with digital access, with connectivity, and digital applications alongside their teachers navigate anytime, anywhere at school or at home. What has technology done for education? It has liberated students and teachers from mandated seat time, allowing them to be taught on their own time, their own modality, anytime, anywhere. That is the promise. The democratization of technology will bring about new levels of achievement, universal performance, and the dream that needs to be realized by every single student. I will close by simply saying this. I am a proud Portuguese-born, American-thinking individual, an educator in this country. And here's what I know. Education, powerful education, fueled and inspired by technology and all of the opportunities it brings, opens a new universe. And education, after all, as an immigrant to this country, is a human right of our generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alberto. I was wondering with your presentation that the whole concept of digital inclusion has a new meaning now. And it's now not only just having a computer, but you see that there are children that don't even have a computer, and we're talking about a new level of digital inclusion. So thank you very much for these insights.
Thank you.
And now we have João Nobre. João Nobre is responsible for growth in Quidjust. Yes. So please, João.
Okay, thank you, Carol. So thank you very much. And there is one fact here. This is the first moderator in the Q-Day that is a woman, and we are on time. So this is important to note. Okay, so I have prepared a presentation to you, and I name it Disrupt or Be Disrupted, because in fact you don't have a chance. It's one or another. We have heard today several speakers about this shortage of software developers in the market. You do a quick search in any search engine, and we grab a lot of it. I just put here together some of well-sounding names. But the fact is that I was thinking that relating to the story that Professor Miguel was telling us about the Industrial Revolution, it seems that we are, in fact, running out of horses here. And sorry, the software developers are the horses. And don't worry, because I'm a horse myself, because I learned how to code, although I reoriented my career for business years ago. And amazingly, when joining Quidjust, I found out that I could code again without knowing nothing about having to do any update in terms of coding technology, and using Genio. So, in fact, that's what I want to take the minutes that I have here with you is to tell you about Genio, how I have found Genio, and how I believe, frankly, that Genio is the solution for the shortage of software developers that we are feeling all around the world. And this takes us from a journey from citizen developer to knowledge engineers. Okay, this is again being the last of the last ones doing this presentation. What is interesting is that much of that that I'm saying here has already been saying, which is good because I'm stressing and bolding the message. And the great message, it's what you have see here in the screen. So, and this is the innovation from within. So you need to be able to grab the knowledge that the collaborators of your organizations have on the organizations itself, the business of the organization, the market where the organization is, and these are these will be your innovators. But they lack digital skills, so they are not able to map this to the tools that you use in your day by day. Okay, so with Genio, in fact, you are able to transform these knowledge people into engineers. They are able to produce engineer solutions, okay? And all of this is done without having to learn any code. All of this is done fundamentally by design thinking, and I will show you how you do the things in Genio. And of course, this is going from code to models. It tackles one thing very important, Ginto, which is the rapid obsolescence of the technology. So when you are designing your solution, your application, you have your model, the technology change, because technology always change, and you need to go again from scratch, building that solution. If you are using Genio, you don't need to do that, okay? Because the model is created, the model is there, Genio will take care of the technology evolution. So it's much more for less disruption, and is yet to see how much Genio could, in fact, touch and improve the way that your organizations performed. So there is your lucky coin. But one thing very important here is also to try to understand how disruptive Genio can be. And I have a disclaimer here because there are tendencies to look at Genio as a low-code platform. It is not. It's much better than that. It's the next stage of the low-coder, has been here even before the low-coding exists, and will be here after the low-coding fade away. But we need to compare, so let's try to compare with the benefits of using Genio with the low-coder platforms. And we are using here this ISO 24570 from 2018 that specifies the function points. The function points, it's a way to measure the complexity of an application. Okay, so the more function points that an application have, the more complex it is, and it is also used to measure the productivity of a software developer. So you see there, you are almost not seeing there, but a manual code developer has the capacity of producing 16 function points per month. And of course, if you go to low-code platforms, that's why there is this hype is already 175. But if you take a Genio software developer, it blasts it completely. So the productivity is immense. And another way to look at it is to see what is in terms of number of function points. You have here that 15K as the largest low-code solution that has been developed, and you can compare it immediately to Quijest solutions. that are going above 70K functions points. So it's a completely different animal, and we all still keep learning another aspects of it. So there are multiple benefits regarding low code. I will leave you the main ideas, as I need to pack my time here. Nevertheless, it gives you the opportunity to productize, in fact, your the way that you are doing your application. So you don't need always to start building from scratch your applications. You can leverage on the blocks that you already produced, Eugenio. So this is a real benefit when comparing to low code. It offers mass customization, so because these applications are spread among many customers, so the cost can be lowered. We have seen that boost developers' productivity. Use models to deliver future-ready solutions. We talk about this. Require much less manual code. There is always the need of putting some manual code there, but in the case of Genio, maximum 5%. It produces transparent code on standard programming languages, so it's completely standard. Protects the code to be changed by the developers, and you can build very large applications with Genio. From ERPs, so core systems, even digital twins, so it gives you the capacity, in fact, to create very complex and large applications. And in order to start being effective, in fact, you only need 2 weeks of studying Genio. That is also, it's amazing, and it's true, and I'm the living proof of it. It's oriented to data and not to process. And why is this important? Because is there anything wrong with process? No, nothing's wrong in process. Our life is process after process after process. So you came here following a process, you are going out of here following a process. So there is nothing wrong with process. The problem with process is that you can always put yet another process there. So when you are using low-code platforms that are process-oriented, there is yet another process that you can put there. So it's a never-ending story when you are dealing with process. On the other, and very important, process hide business rules. So you don't have a clear notion of what are the business rules of our application when you're looking on a process flow chart. On the other side, focusing on data, as Genio does, so the data attributes of your application, of your solution, are detected when you start thinking about what are the informations that you need to handle. So, of course, you cannot see all the data at the first glance, but the data that will come after it, that we'll discover after it, will be residual. Sorry. And it followed this asymptotical curve that can be computed. So this means that using Genio, you are able to having full control of the application that you are producing. Very, 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 very fasting. This speaks for itself. I love this picture, okay? Because when you are when you are process oriented, you cannot ask for a cup of coffee. You need to follow all the process to get a cup of coffee. When you are on the declarative programming, as Genio is, in fact, you are oriented results. So you know what you want. So get me a cup of coffee. I don't care how you do the coffee. You just get me a cup of coffee. And this is very interesting. So what you learn when you are programming in Genio, so you already heard in these days, Beatriz Guimarães talking, Hugo Miguel talking, so they are in charge of business units in Quijust, and they don't code. They use Genio. Their teams use Genio to produce their really complex and higher solutions. So they work what you see there. They work with the data. So they understand the relation model. They understand the data that they need to have on those tables, the relation between the tables. So they use graphic trees to understand how the application needs to work. And they use simulations. So you have simulations for when you are programming, you know exactly what the user, how you are asking information to the user, how to use inputs, and you do all of this without coding, okay? So this is the beautiful of it. And very quickly, just to give you a notion about, but what can I do with this, in fact? So there is this concept, package business capabilities, PBCs. Take note of this, package business capabilities. This is very important, this is very interesting. A PBC, in fact, is a piece of, is an autonomous piece of software, if you want, of an application that has all that it needs in order to be functional in it. It's autonomous, okay? Get that notion. But it's autonomous, but at the same time, it can work with similar applications. And then you can construct the portfolio that you see there, but in fact you can map all that you have here for the extensive portfolio of solutions that QGest has, from people management to finance, so everything that you have there. And how can this be built? So, these PBCs can be built by QGest. They can be already part of the portfolio QGest, so you can be reused, or that can be built specifically for a certain requisites by QGest or by QGest partners. And innovation from within can be built by you, can be built by your organization. If you know how to program with Genio, if you know how to use Genio, you can also build your PBCs and interact with the PBCs that have been built by QGest, by the partners, by third parties. So this is the power of Genio. And so you get the best of the two worlds, the tailor-made and the pre-built. So the Genio that consider that is the best on its own class, because there is no other thing that can be compared to Genio, but also the pre-built with all the portfolio solutions that QGest has been producing and is available. So organizations want both, so fast-paced development and tailor-made advantage, but at the same time, robust test and package solutions. So you can get this with Genio and the PBCs that QGest and the partners of QGest produces. So why the two worlds are achieved? Because with Genio, we can offer, so Genio can offer you scale agility, flexibility, hyper-automation, and at the same time, you have an extensive portfolio of PBCs that you can choose to address the needs of your organizations. Okay, and of course, everything embedded on continuous improvement by design. This is Genio by default. Just the last one here, because this is very interesting, because imagine that you have this monolithic ERP core system. There are several out there, and they put, say, they customize, they have some customizations around it. Okay, so this is a way to evolve a monolithic ERP there. Or you can use low code or robotic process automation. So you still keep having your core systems, and then you do some fancy interfaces around it. Okay, when the ERP is gone, you can put these interfaces in the garbage with the ERP, or you can start experiencing the composable enterprise experience that I was talking to you, that is based on the technology empowered by Genio. Okay. So, to whom is Genio for? This is the big question. So, is Genio for professional developers? Or is Genio for business technologies? So the answer is both or neither, in fact, because Genio is for professional developers, Genio is for business technologies, and most important, Genio is for fusion teams. So if you could have professional developers working together with a business technology, talking the same language, you are building a great organization. So because with Genio, so it instructs business technologists on how to entirely define the software solution. It ensures compliance with all the aspects that what IT concerns, so security, scalability, so everything that you are that you know. It describes the business as an abstraction level that IT understands. So it's not that the business people having the idea of what they want, and then the IT people building what they think that the business people wanted, and then there is not a match. If you have something that glued these two teams together, it will work much better. And this thing is Genio. So it provides really a common understanding language. I like this very much. It's an Esperanto for business.
João.
Yes, so you are just there. So how can I learn Genio? It's the question. And before, just on 10 seconds. So I grabbed some information from the Quijest Academy on the profiles of the people that were going through this 1 week, 2 weeks training, okay? And I pick up some computer engineering, computer science, electrical computer engineering students or graduating. And I went for this specific pre-training inquiry, which is that considering your current knowledge and the tools that you master, how much time do you estimate you would need to create a small software solution with 20 tables, 30 interface, 20 workflows, okay, and the value anyway. And so from 2 to 6 months, 62% of people saying these are computer science engineers. So. But we still have answers here from 7 months to 1 year, more than 1 year. I'm talking here about a small software solution. They went through a 1 week training, and at the end they go again through this form, and they reply again to this answer. And this was the answer. So after going through 1 week of Genio, they were convinced that less than 1 month. Period. And the final one is this one, and it was very interesting, Carol. I don't know if you agree, or I don't know if you are ready with the IT team here, but we are announcing a Genio Global Training Calendar for so for October, November, December, with dates already agreed with our partners worldwide. And we have prepared, we have an announcement of it that we could not pass on the beginning.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so if you think that we can pass here, it will be perfect, and then we, yes? And I'm done.
Thank you. So this was the first time I ever heard about low coding and about Genio and about everything. So it's not low coding. I'm learning something that's not, and I learned that it's different. And from what I got, Genio points to the direction of the digital inclusion. So it's like it's foreseeing what's coming for the next years, as Alberto said, to democratize code. So it will also depend on creating new roles and leadership, like actually perceiving people from their skills and not boxed in their roles, not boxed in their graduations. So how do you feel it's going to be the biggest challenge in implementing this for a leader? Because I imagine that now they have their developers in the company already, and they're suddenly going to say, okay, so we are going to have new people. They're not from don't have any technical background helping us to code. So how do you expect could be the biggest challenges in integrating these workforces?
Like the consultant.
It's a great question. And when I was viewing the presentation, I thought of service-oriented architecture, which was a mechanism to reuse code. That was essentially the promise of SOA. A lot of the challenge will be, if it's not invented here, it's not necessarily trusted. And so I see some incredible benefit, because the people that are actively working with programs, and I was thinking about Alberto's presentation for LA Unified School District, and I'm a proud, I don't know if Alberto's still on, but I'm a proud consumer. I went through LA public schools and learned Fortran many years ago. But really, the people that are working on the programs have the expertise. And a lot of that expertise is lost when you have to translate that to software engineers. Often, software engineers may have their own idea about how to implement something, and it starts becoming like a kid's game of telephone. The message starts to get diluted based upon having to pass through multiple people. If I'm a program administrator and I don't need somebody on the software engineering side to basically construct what it is I'm trying to do, that could be a very important in terms of rapid prototyping and getting executive leadership resourcing an idea within an organization in a way where your objective isn't diluted by going through software engineering. So I think, just like all things, right, yin and yang, there are great advantages if the technology matures and will help fit within legacy applications and enterprises. There's great promise, but there's also a large trust barrier when it comes to things that aren't invented here. And there would probably be a lot of resistance coming from software engineers that don't want to be displaced.
Well, okay. What do you think? No.
They are not going to be displaced because genius doesn't fall from the trees, okay? So you need software engineers to keep evolving the solution, and the technology evolves. So currently the output of code is C#.NET. It's going to evolve to Vue.js. So someone has to do it. Someone has to take care of the pattern. So there is always place for software engineers, but they will become a luxury product resource, okay? Because they are guys that went to the universities through several years. So they are doctors of coding, okay? But you don't need doctors of coding to produce an information management system. You need people that understand the business, okay?
Right.
So that is the way. But of course, if you are a director of a huge plant full of software developers, you don't like these kinds of solutions because this is my headcount. This is why I'm important.
Yes.
So it's you must go to the business. To the business people, the people that in fact have the vision for the future, right. Because this is disruptive. This is disruptive, but it's not. I don't see it as a.
It's not a complete replacement.
Yeah. No, of course not. Of course not. I have a kid that just graduated as computer science, and he needs to work. So
right. Your motivation is to get him working as quickly.
To Alberto and Chackib to know what they think about this. Do you have something to say about this? How to put together these two teams, or if it's impossible in your point of view?
So actually, there is a fact. The fact is that Gartner said that in 2024, 65% of all development all over the world will be in low code, no code. So I think something is changing all over the world. I mean, we cannot hide it. Yes, banks or multinationals can still have IT department with hundreds of developers, but this will be, changing very fast. The market will have to be changing. The cost, reducing cost everywhere will be, push that people, to change their mindset regarding development and regarding the coding. This is one point. The second point is that I think we should start in the university. I think developing or coding today is not something should be exclusive for only developers or only for the people who are in IT field. Also, people in sociology, people students in sociology or students in laws have to know how to develop their own IT have to know how to talk tomorrow when they become a leader, how to talk to the IT people. So they need to touch a code. I think there is something that must be touched in the first year in the university. Everyone has to touch on it. And I think when we talk to the leaders, when we talk to the minister, when we talk to political key people, I think there's something that they can hear and they can listen to. We just need to act, and we just need, to follow up this change with them.
Like create conversations and start talking about this, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Alberto?
The only thing I would add, in terms of the challenges, there are both internal as well as external challenges, and my comments are specific to the arena, the environment of education. Number one, within education, people are really attached to the old ways of doing things. So the status quo has real gravitational pull. People have a really difficult time in terms of shifting to a new environment, a better way. And in part because they don't understand the benefit. So how do you address that? That's actually on us. The way we speak about technology, the way we speak about implementations, the way we speak about the benefits needs to be in a much more democratic way. What that means is, look, I have a number of doctorate degrees, but I choose to speak at a 5th grade level. Why? Because the parents of my kids in Los Angeles have on average 5 years worth of schooling. So if I want to connect with them, I need to be in a conversational mode that uses language that speaks to the benefit without it being misunderstood. As far as teachers are concerned, how can I make a teacher's life easier, more effective? How can I boost the performance and the efficacy and the effective teaching for a teacher on the basis of the tools that I provide them and I train them with? Sometimes we don't do that. We make massive acquisitions. We poorly train people, so we don't invest in the retooling and the reskilling, and the investment falls flat because only 10% of the investment actually gets realized in terms of utilization. And we see that in the area of education. So my advice to folks who are leading micro or macro systems like Los Angeles is, number one, lead a conversation in terms of technological utilization that speaks to the benefit of the individual, whether it's the teacher or the learner or the parent. Secondly, speak at a level that's understood, not threatening. Thirdly, understand the pace that without the appropriate training, the appropriate involvement of the different voices in communities to really understand benefit, implementations are not going to be fully utilized. I'll give you one example. We launched a parent academy here in Los Angeles, much like I launched in Miami. One of the greatest users of technology are parents who want to learn how to best support kids in school. Look, when you empower parents with devices, because every kid has a device at home, why not create a portal for parents with the tools to help parents, number one, understand the technology, and then teach parents how to leverage that technology to actually support the educational attainment of their kids. So it's one of language, it's one of connection, it's one of democratizing the process and making full utilization of acquisition of systems and tools by leading with how will this help me in a classroom? How will it help me as a parent? If we don't define purpose by showing, it doesn't get used.
Yes, it's all about cost benefit in the end, right? You have
That's
to
right.
feel the benefits. Do we have time for more questions? How long do we have?
We have all night.
Oh, what?
We have all night.
All night, we have all night. Okay, great. So do you have any questions? Any questions from the... Okay. So I'm personally very interested in this subject, especially because of leadership. And I want to understand, in your point of view, if you had to say, like, what's the most important thing what's the most important condition that must be placed in order for leaders to sponsor this innovation from within? So go, George, and we can go by the order here.
Well, I think it's a great question. And again, kind of going back to the presentation that I provided, I've seen what works and what doesn't work. And when you release folks from fear, when you allow them to take risks, when you inspire them with an important mission. Like the Department of Education in Los Angeles. I mean, a lot of the public speaking that I do, I talk about if you care about democracy, it requires a well-educated, well-informed, and civically engaged society. Education is the cornerstone of that. And so if you cultivate a organizational culture in which leadership is accessible, that risk, when people take calculated risk, not just, you can't be working at a donut shop and say, I have a great idea for a new car. That won't work for Dunkin' Donuts. But you have to be pragmatic, but inspire innovation among folks and give them the opportunity to create and to be respected for their ideas and create a competition for ideas. One of the things that I found really worked well at Oracle back in the day when I was very, very involved at Oracle was there was a competition of ideas. There were very assertive people that would get in a room with an executive vice president and there would be a competition of ideas. And we may totally disagree on the pathway to an objective, but it was done with respect, it was done good-naturedly, and we were all there for the best outcome for the company. And so leadership that inspires that kind of behavior is critical. I would imagine in your practice,
Yeah.
trying to cultivate that kind of healthy organization in which that's allowed, where people aren't beaten down for having an idea or trying something new, is a very, very important part of leading with innovation.
That's true. And João, who do you think is the responsible then for this? So which should be the sponsor for starting this whole process?
The one that is spending the money, because it hurts. Okay. So, so the idea is that if you are able to put together your business technologies and your software developers together working, as I was telling, on a fusion team, I think the benefits are immense for the organization because you make the bridge between what the organization needs in terms of achieving their goals, their business, and how the IT department is producing that solutions. And also, if you are using Genio, in the case, okay, we are in a Quijest event, I can talk about Genio as much as I can. Okay, you are producing solutions that you own, in fact, because at the end, when you produce the solution, Genio gives you the code, the lines and codes. They are yours. So you are not locked in with a software house. Okay? If that happens even if when you buy solutions to Quijest, okay, it's possible for the customers to receive the code. So if they want to evolve the code, they can hire the horses and evolve the code, the software developers, I'm sorry.
So
and develop the code because very much, okay? But definitely they will never be locked in on a software house. And if you look around in the market, that's exactly what the software houses are doing. They are always trying to lock in customers. And this is what I completely find different about Quijest. Okay?
Great. So not only the person has to, the buyer is motivated by his investment, but also for having the product and not just depending and relying on the house. Great. About Chackib and Alberto, I would like to learn from you. What is an action you think, a very actionable thing that leaders can do in their daily routine, so my example, to foster this innovation from within?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's nothing like leading by personal example. So if you believe in a technology, in a system, use it. Demonstrate to your internal stakeholders and external stakeholders that you're not just a promoter of something, you're a believer in something that you actually use. Lead by example, through your own utilization of the assets that you promote. Secondly, be clear about your communication in terms of the effectiveness and benefit to your internal as well as external stakeholders. So believe in what you do, show what you do, communicate it effectively, develop a culture of trust with your internal and external stakeholders about the benefit, the reason for investment. If you're selling something, how will this benefit me? So without that personal vision, without that I'm using what I'm preaching, I possess what I preach, and I communicated it with a high level of trustability in what I say and what I use. Those are the key factors, quite frankly, in any dimension of leadership, whether you're selling, consuming, or trying to influence a new technology or a new system implementation.
Great tips. What about you, Chackib?
Exactly. So leading by example, this is what I would like to say also, because it's very important. And it remembered me something. I had a discussion a couple of weeks back with the Minister of Industry. I was talking to him regarding multiple subjects, but especially about Genio and how fantastic is this program. And I told him, before implementing that in my own team, I take this summer to follow this course, and I discovered something that maybe before starting with the student, we should start by the leaders of the country to try to test what is Genio, and maybe something that, you know, and he was like, wow, is it possible for me? Like, I come back to the course. I said, no, it's not coming back to the course. It's try it in 1 week, and you'll be discovering what magnificent tools we are providing here. So I think, yeah, leading by the example, this is the first. And second, we have to, the leader has to show the cap, have to show where we are today and we are going, where we are going. And this is very important. And this is something that, you know, everyone has to share the same vision, the same ambition, and the same cap of the leaders. This is very important too.
And the last question, because we have 5 minutes, and how we also talked about how important it is to look for these skills in people that you already have in a company, these champions, to be able to use Genio as a tool. And how can you spot that? How can you create this environment where someone's going to stand up and say, oh, I want to be a champion in this, because they will be risking their current performance? So they can be very well evaluated as they are. They are in the comfort zones. How do you move them from this comfort zone to become a champion?
So, I mean, and it's a great question. Before I came to Lisbon, the very last project that I managed a turnaround for the state of California. I managed a major modernization effort for the California Student Aid Commission. And there was a legacy staff of programmers that were very familiar with the old technology that was used to support 30-year-old systems. The systems were completely modernized using open source, JavaScript, web-based systems to serve California school districts, colleges, universities, and hundreds of thousands of students. And so the staff was, you can imagine, the legacy staff. They were public sector employees, but nevertheless, they wanted to contribute. They wanted to be valued and appreciated, but here comes some technology that they've never used before. And so getting them immersed in the project at important areas of the project were incredibly important to first let them know that their jobs were not at risk. They needed to have some level of confidence. They needed to have a lot of support from an education and training standpoint, working directly with the consulting team that was doing a lot of the modernization work, so they would understand the flow of change and change management in terms of maintaining the system, adding new functionality in the future when the consulting team left. And so it's a very difficult question, because if you care about the employees, if you care about staff, it's incumbent upon leadership to make the investment in terms of making sure that they have access to training and that they have the capacity and time available to direct towards learning new technologies, understanding them, and applying them so they can be successful. And it's risk mitigation for the actual enterprise. Because after the consultants leave, I don't know how many multi-million-dollar projects I've seen where you have 50 men and women wearing suits coming in every day for a year, they disappear, and then the project fails. And so it's very, very important from outcome, risk mitigation, and overall total cost of operations over time to make the investment and know that you're going to have to be paying for extra resource capacity during that transition.
Great, thank you. George and Chackib. Chackib, what about you?
Yeah, actually, all has been said by George in that way. But yeah, exactly. So change management, and this is the key. This is the key because it's all depend on the organization. We are talking about different organizations here. We can talk about public sector, but we can talk also about private sector as well. And I think involvement of the people and let up the people knowing new things. I'm pretty sure that we cannot involve everyone. This is for sure. But we can create innovation committees inside the organization. We can lead the management, make the management leads by some leaders, opinion leaders inside the organization. And yes, we should have some break. This is very normal, and we should accept that break and accept that some people have more resistance than others to accept this disruption, or to accept this a new way to make it happen. This is very important. But when it matters to innovation and when it matters to disruption, we have more chance, to involve people if we do the things on the right way and respecting the speed of everyone. This is very important as well. Not everyone can move on the same speed, and we have to understand what happened in the organization. We have to be near the people. We have to be near the microsystem inside the big organization, and in that way we can achieve the goal of changing it on the right conditions.
Great, thank you. So that's it for today. Our time is up. I thank everyone, Quit Jazz, João Paulo, for the invitation. And I think this follows up online, right? So thank you very much for everyone.